Hi everyone, I'm closing in on 12,000 subscribers on the channel, and I wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for your support in helping me get to this point. I really appreciate your subscribership, your views, your comments, your likes, your shares, and everything that you've done and taken time out of your day to help support what I've been doing here. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel and help me get over that 12,000 hump. I really appreciate everything you've all done for me so far, and now I'll move on to today's video. Hey everybody, it's Saturday, October 12th, coming from beautiful sunny North Carolina, and today I wanted to talk about growing the biggest, best lettuce harvest you've ever had. Let's go. Permaculture is a very popular topic in gardening today, and no matter who you are and where you garden, it's very important to have the healthiest soil possible. However, no matter how healthy your soil is, no matter how rich and loamy and nutritious it is, you will always have better results if you properly fertilize with supplemental fertilizer. Last year, I grew a type of head lettuce called butter crunch lettuce during the cool season, and despite it only being a medium-sized head lettuce, the heads of lettuce that I grew turned out to be the size of large watermelons. They were absolutely enormous, and the quality of the leaves were fantastic. It was a great lettuce, and the way I was able to achieve these results was through proper supplemental fertilizing. I've found that there is a lot of confusion surrounding fertilizing your garden today, and the reason why is, I think, because what people consider vegetables are not actually true vegetables. When you get right down to it, there are only about 3 different things we are growing in our garden. We are growing vegetables, we are growing fruits, and we are growing roots. Now, most of what we call vegetables are actually fruits. The root word of vegetable is vegetation. So what you see here is a sweet potato. The leaves on top here are the vegetation. This is the vegetable portion of the plant. But underground, you actually eat the root of a sweet potato. That is the tuber underground. And how you fertilize to get big sweet potatoes will be very different than how you fertilize to get huge sweet potato tops. Most of what we call vegetables today are actually fruits that we're eating off the plants. Tomatoes, peppers, squash, cucumber, eggplant, and many others that we often refer to as vegetables are actually fruits that we are eating. So when I fertilize fruiting vegetables, I fertilize them in the same manner that I fertilize a fruit tree, because all of those vegetables are closer to fruit trees when you get right down to it. This is where the confusion comes into play when we are growing leafy greens. Leafy greens are actually true vegetables. We are eating the leaves, the vegetation of the plant. And how you fertilize the vegetation is completely different than how you fertilize for fruits. When you are growing a fruiting vegetable and the desire is to eat the fruit of the plant, the goal is to fertilize them with a higher phosphorus feed, because a higher phosphorus, lower nitrogen feed will give you more blooms and give you more fruits. Using all-purpose fertilizers commonly found off the shelf to fertilize your fruiting plants is usually a bad idea, because it's very inexpensive for companies to add nitrogen to feed, and they're often high in nitrogen. If you're growing tomatoes or eggplant or peppers or other kind of fruiting vegetables and giving them a high nitrogen feed, the energy from the roots of the plant are going to be placed more into the green growth than they are into the fruits. That's not what we want to do when we're eating fruiting vegetables, but that is exactly what we want to do when we grow lettuce. When fertilizing your garden, there are 2 main types of fertilizers that you can use. There is the slow-release granulated type that you can see right here, and there is the rapid-release soluble type that you can see down here. I have always had the best results using both types of fertilizer in my garden. When it comes to the slow release type, I strongly recommend an organic type like this Job's slow release organic fertilizer. And the reason why is because the organic slow release fertilizers feed your soil. It takes the natural bacteria, the good funguses, earthworms, and all the native soil biology living inside your garden dirt to break down this fertilizer that is in this bag right here. These are organic pellets that are made out of blood meal, bone meal, feather meal, and all kinds of bits of animals and plants. And the native soil biology slowly breaks that down, and it encourages more good bugs and more good types of bacteria to multiply and thrive in your soil. So using an organic slow-release fertilizer will over time really build the health of your soil. The soluble fertilizers are a different story. These are granulated, and you just simply mix them up with water. It instantly dissolves, and you pour them over your plants, and the nutrition is instantly available to your fruits and vegetables. These fertilizers do not need the native soil microbiology to break them down. Therefore, they do not feed your soil. They do not encourage good bacteria and good microbes from coming into your soil. Therefore, to me, it does not matter if I use conventional synthetic fertilizers or organically derived fertilizers, because they are all heavily processed down into chemicals and they do nothing to really support your microbiome. So if you want to spend more money on organic fertilizers, you're not really getting the return for the soluble products that you are with the high quality granulated products that will feed your native microbiome. An exception to that statement would be fish fertilizer. Fish fertilizer is the ground up pulverized liquefied bits of real fish. Fish fertilizer is a secret weapon in my garden, and I use it always when I transplant trees, fruits, vegetables. It always helps with the transplant shock. And here you can see 511 listed on the fish fertilizer. That means it is 5% nitrogen, 1% phosphorus, and 1% potassium. So it is high nitrogen when it comes to growing leafy greens. If you want to go 100% organic, this is really the only fertilizer that you will need for soluble fertilizing. Fish emulsion is readily available by the plants. It is already broken down. It is soluble. You just mix a few tablespoons in water, pour it over your plants. It will not burn them because it is not chemical, and they will grow like weeds. For the slow release fertilizer, you can see the numbers 444. That means this bag is 4% nitrogen, 4% phosphorus, and 4% potassium. It is what you call a balanced feed, and I like to plant all of my plants with a balanced fertilizer. This will give the plants everything they need for a slow trickle of nutrients throughout the season. I like to bury my plants with roughly 2 tablespoons of this fertilizer mixed into the planting hole, and then every 14 days I like to top dress them, which means I like to just come back and put another 1 to 2 tablespoons on top of the soil and just scratch it into the soil, sort of like this, to get it down to the first inch or 2. For the soluble fertilizers, you would come by and mix them in a watering can, and you would feed your plants every 7 to 14 days. I usually come in the middle and mix them about every 10 days and feed my plants and get great results. Now, I already mentioned the organic fish fertilizer. That's 511. That's 5 times more nitrogen than the phosphorus and potash. That is exactly what you want for growing leafy greens, not just lettuce. It can also be for kale, spinach, collards, cabbage, any kind of leafy green where you are eating the leaves. High nitrogen feed will give you amazing results. To the right here, this is the Walmart brand knockoff of Miracle Grow all-purpose fertilizer. It is 24% nitrogen, 8% phosphorus, and 16% potassium. This is the last fertilizer you would want to use when you grow fruiting vegetables, because it's so high in nitrogen, it will grow lots of stem and leaf growth, and it will not be very good for setting flowers and fruits. However, for growing leafy greens, it is fantastic. Depending on how organic you want to be, you can use only the fish fertilizer on the left or only the soluble chemical fertilizer on the right, and you will do just fine growing leafy greens. However, I usually like to mix the two, and I find I get the best results that way. What I have here in this tray is a mixture of 3 different types of lettuce and red Russian kale that I started from seed. And because these are all leafy greens where we eat the leaves, I'm going to fertilize these all exactly the same with my balanced 444 slow release fertilizer and a high nitrogen soluble feed on top. When it comes to head lettuce and larger kale, generally you want to reserve about 1 square foot in your garden for each head. So here I have my beds marked out per square foot. So this is 1 square foot from notch to notch. And I have those marks that travel up the bed so I can easily discern where 1 square foot of my garden space is. When you're ready to plant your transplants, simply dig your trench, Place 2 tablespoons of granulated fertilizer where each plant is going to go. Place each plant with 1 foot spacing on all sides. Backfill your trench. Water them in with a garden hose to compact the soil. Top dress with another tablespoon of granulated fertilizer per plant. Water each plant to blow the fertilizer off. Mix your soluble fertilizer as per the instructions on the container in the watering can. And water in each plant with the soluble feed. And that is what the fully planted bed looks like. For the first week, you're going to want to come out every single day and water with the garden hose because the plants are going to struggle to establish at first. So they're going to need daily watering to grow their roots. After that, you're going to want to come out every 14 days and place 1 to 2 tablespoons of the slow-release organic fertilizer next to every single plant. And every 7 to 14 days, you're going to want to come out with the higher nitrogen soluble feed and water your plants. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel for future updates and more videos like these. If you're curious about any of the things that I use in my garden, most of what I use is in the video description below and on my Amazon storefront in the video description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see each and every one of you on the next video.